Hello dear friends, it's Yuri, and today I want to make a video about one very important subject for better understanding of the gaming of the highest level golfers, about approach proximity. And the reason to make this video is the yesterday winning of the Hideki Matsuyama on the Masters 2021, and also a very good game of the Zalatories, who was on the second position with just one stroke over the winner, and plus the 8 of Xander Schauffele. And as you know, Xander was amazingly excellent yesterday in the case of the birdies. He had 7 birdies yesterday, but on some holes, on one of them he had the double par, triple bogey on the 16-1, and on the other one he had the double bogey. And this performance on just 2 holes were highly influential on his total result, because he was in 3 strokes over the Hideki Matsuyama. Why I have chosen the Xander Schauffele performance but not the Jordan Spieth? Because currently Xander is on the third position in the FedEx Cup. In this case, it seems that it will be highly interesting to have relative performance of those 3 golfers. Zalatories is highly interesting because, in my opinion, he was, before this tournament, before the Masters, he was one of the most undervalued golfers in the PGA Tour. Certainly he is mostly playing not in the PGA Tour but in other important tournament of the PGA. But you know that his statistics is very serious, and in this connection you see that my idea was that Zalatories is among 50 strongest golfers all over the golf. And in this connection, you know that many golfers who have played on the Masters, they had not so good positions as his current position. Let's say that the Justin Rose, he is certainly more famous golfer, but currently he have not so good performance as Zalatories. In this connection, it was highly interesting to understand relative performance of these golfers in so highly important component of the game as approach and proximity. But before we will start this subject, I want to thank a lot you for your attention to my channel, because during the Masters week I have received much more views than before that, and I'm feeling much more happy currently with my results, and most of those results were related with the subject that I have made 6 videos about it, exactly Zalatories golf swing analysis and the golf swings, and they were and my performance were achieved mostly from those videos. So thanks a lot, and I hope to see you on my channel, and it's amazingly important for me. So the statistics for our research were taken from the PGA Tour site, and thanks them a lot for those fact that we can receive any information which we need to analyze the golf statistics and golf performance of the best golfers, and it's opening our eyes on many subjects, and it's incredibly important. So what I have taken to analysis today, first of all, is the statistics about approaching, which is including the proximity of approaching from roughs and fairways, and the average proximity in yards for both of these components. So we can see that number of attempts was 800, and the average proximity in yards were 11.2. Plus that I have analyzed the proximity in the yards, convert this proximity from feet and inches to the yards for better understanding the percentage of the proximity, because idea was to you know that to make the real looking for the ideas of David Peltz about the proximity in percentage of the total of the distance of the shot, and for better understanding, is it any difference between the percentage proximity between on the different distances? So if we will take a look for the numbers for the Hideki Matsuyama, we will find that, for example, from the distance more than 275 yards, he have made 22 attempts, and his average proximity were 85 feet and 8 inches, and this is mean that his average proximity were 26.6 yards. And for the average distance, I have some problems with the calculating of the average distance, because you see that we have not information about the average distance from which they have played, but I have decided it will be reasonable to use the average average distance for this range. For example, if we are talking about 250 yards to 275 yards, we will take 262 yards as the average figure. So in this connection, for this distance, we are taking the average yardage, the average proximity to the hole, 19.7 yards, and it's 7.5% to the average distance of the shot. And we can see that for distance 275 plus, he have approximately 9.2, and for each distance we can find such results. So in this connection, it is really important that, for example, for distance from 50 to 75 yards, average proximity is 10.12%, and that is 2.5 times higher than, for example, for his average proximity from 125 to 150 yards. So we can see that those problems which David Peltz have talked about many years ago, that the percentage proximity for the shorter distances sometimes twice time higher than the same figures for the little bit longer distances, are the same for the Hideki Matsuyama. But his average proximity, because you see that the distance from 50 to 75 yards was not so highly important, it's only 12 attempts were made from this distance, so it's not so highly influencing for the average figures, and the average figure for Hideki Matsuyama were 5.6%. So Xander Schauffele, he is short on the in the PGA Tour money list and in the FedEx Cup. So at first we will take a look for his results. So we can see that average proximity in yards is 11. And we can also see that the difference between the rough and fairways for the for Xander Schauffele, a little bit less, it's approximately 30%. So his average distance from the fairway, average proximity 10.4, and from the rough it's sorting. But for the Hideki Matsuyama, it was 10 for fairways and 15.6 yards for rough. Maybe in some cases it's related with the subject that those tee shots which are finishing in the rough are a little bit shorter than those ones which are finishing on the fairways. In this case, maybe for rough they are playing from the longer average distances, but anyway, this difference is quite serious for the Hideki Matsuyama and not so serious for Xander Schauffele. So he's playing from rough more comfortable and feeling more comfortable. And we can see that the difference for the that proximity in percentage for the different distances not so serious as for the Hideki Matsuyama, but it's very close to the 2 times. So, for example, the best proximity for the Xander Schauffele is from the distance 150-175 yards, and the worst proximity is from the distance, from the shortest distance, from 50 to 75 yards, and this difference almost twice, 5 against 9.2, and his average proximity in percentage is 5.86. So I think that you are understanding idea of this research, and currently we have figures for the Will Zalatoris, and we are finding from those figures that he also more prefer the fairways than rough, and it's highly interesting that for all golfers the proximity from the fairways is approximately the same. It's very close to 10 yards, and it's not so highly different, maybe just inside 1% of the the difference. For rough, Xander Schauffele is the leader in this component of the game. He has some advantage playing from the rough, but it's not so serious difference for the total result, because the total average proximity for the Will Zalatoris is 11.3. So now it's a time to take a look for the relative performance of those golfers. And we can find that Xander Schauffele, Hideki Matsuyama and Will Zalatoris have approximately the same proximity in the percentage of the distance. Hideki Matsuyama 5.6, and Xander Schauffele and Will Zalatoris have same figures, 5.86. Xander Schauffele have little bit better average proximity in yards than other golfers. His results is 10.9. Hideki Matsuyama have 11.2, and Will Zalatoris have 11.3. And in my opinion, it's highly important figures, because they are talking us that the golf swings of those 3 golfers are very different. Maybe Xander Schauffele and Will Zalatoris have the golf swings which are a little bit closer to each other, because in the end of the golf swing, in the finish position, and Will and Xander have the tilting not only a little bit forward, but to the right of the center of the stance, and in this connection with distortion, they are saving the torsion till the end, the final end of the golf swing, and in this connection maybe it's helping them to rise some distance and to have better direction. But Hideki Matsuyama having a little bit different swing, but his results are the same. And again, we need to say that the approaching proximity is not only a result of the second shot. Approaching proximity is results of the combination of the first and second shot on the par 4 holes. In this case, the proximity of the approaching is the measurement which is combined of the skills of the golfers in the full swing. So this is highly important, that the distance is only influencing for the proximity of the approaching, those way that if they have the longer distance, they will need to play from the shorter distance on the approach from the shorter distance. But as we have seen, it's not so highly important for the golfers from which distances they are making approaching. connection. At least this difference is not so serious, and sometimes the best results they have for the distances 150, 175 yards, or maybe 200 yards. In this case, those golfers who receive an advantage from the tee shots are not always using this advantage in the second stroke, and they so the distance is not so highly important. It's a risky resume, but because you know that in the golf the most impression of the golf is certainly looking for the tee shots, with the long tee shots exactly which are made by the Xander Schauffele or the real Zalatories, because they are hitting perfectly. But as we see, it is not so highly seriously influencing for result. So now when we have the figures about the approaching proximity and the percentage of this proximity, we have better understanding of those facts that it's certainly necessary to build an excellent golf swing, but from the other point of view, many different golf swings are making the same results even on the highest professional level. So in this connection, the only concentration on the long game is not a subject to the good scoring, because we see that the game around the green and the putting is highly influencing for the game. And we have seen it during the Masters all 4 days, because not all the golfers had the good first putt proximity, and in this connection many mistakes were made, and some strong golfers have made 3 putts without any problems, without with the probability which is higher than their usual probability, for Dustin Johnson, for example. So thank you very much for your attention. I hope that this video again will be useful for you by ideas that if you will organize your training this way, that you will concentrate more and more on the game around the green, you will have the much more better performance. And in best rounds, as those one which were shown by these golfers during the last days, we need to say that they had much more higher scrambling than they have usually. Sometimes the scrambling were 20% better than they are playing at average. In this case, the additional advantages for improving your scoring are concentrated exactly in the scrambling and putting. So thank you very much, and the next video will be made exactly about the first putt proximity. I hope to see you on my channel. Have a good game, have a good day. Excellent Masters are motivating for the improving our game, and I hope that my videos are helping you to improve your results also. Bye.